First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this event for inviting me to this gathering. I thank Saurav for the invitation. And I congratulate India Think Council and Gujarat University for organizing this fantastic event. I'm very honored to be with these set of esteemed speakers. It is very apt that you are doing the cultural economy conclave at this moment when India is emerging as a economic powerhouse globally and when we are reclaiming our cultural and civilizational roots. You are all aware that India, for many millennia, had always been a global leader in various aspects from agriculture, productivity to income to trade to GDP. At one point of time, we had some of the best of universities even long time back, globally renowned from Nalanda to Takshila. We had done the first surgery centuries back. We were the leaders in healthcare. Some of the leading travelogues during their own time, from Megasthenes to Fabian to Marco Polo, they all during their own time had traveled through India, had written extensive journals. And during different points of time, different scholars across the world had come to India because we were the world leaders in many fields, from shipbuilding to metallurgy to healthcare to surgeries to tool making to astronomy to mathematics. So people used to keep on coming here over time. And as late as 1700s, India, we used to contribute around 22% of the world's income, while Europe used to contribute around 23%. So everybody who were interested in traveling at different point of time, whether they were scholars, whether they were looking for spirituality, whether they were looking for new knowledge, this was the place where they always used to come. Unfortunately, because till around 1750s, we used to contribute around 23% of the world's GDP also. We are a very rich country. So we invited certain invaders and colonizers also, even though we didn't want it. And that was a very unfortunate and disruptive period in our history. By the time the British left us in 1947, the country which used to contribute around 23% of the world's GDP and 22% of world income, by 1947 we were contributing only 3% of the world income. But from 1947 we started our rebuilding once again. From 2014 we have started accelerating it. And in the last few years, in the last 9.5 years, from being a 2 trillion economy, now we are almost a 4 trillion economy. Last year we owed to Great Britain as the 5th largest economy. In the next 5 years we are expected to overtake Germany and Japan and be the 3rd. And this one industry of tourism has a very significant role in ensuring that we continue our trajectory and we can meet our long-term goals. I come from the state of Kerala, where tourism is one of our 3 most important sectors. You look at India as a country, tourism contributes around 4.6% of India's GDP. When you consider the fact that we are the fifth largest economy, the fastest growing economy in the world, 4.6% is a fairly significant number, but the global average is around 10.1%. Most of Europe, most of the developed world, the United States, even Sri Lanka got around 12.6% of their GDP that is contributed by tourism. So we haven't reached anywhere near our potential, but we are in the right trajectory. Right now, like I mentioned, India is the fastest growing economy in the world. We are growing at around 7%. But the tourism sector is actually outgrowing even our overall rate. We are growing at around 8-9%. And by the end of this decade, by 2031, the tourism sector is expected to contribute around 8% of our overall GDP. This is a very important sector because unlike a lot of other sectors, these sectors do give a lot of multiplier effect in jobs. So right now, it's around 4% of our GDP, but almost 8% of our jobs come from this sector. So it's a very critical and important sector. Right now, when we are growing like this, there are certain niche elements in tourism where some focus can really contribute to the India story. You are all aware that we as a country, we are pioneers and leaders in many indigenous forms of health and wellness, including Ayurveda, including yoga, Unani, naturopathy, etc. And in the last few years, especially with us promoting International Yoga Day, yoga is getting more internationalized. More and more people are getting more aware of these kind of health and wellness areas. And we are seeing a rapid increase of yoga and Ayurveda centers across India. So this will add in our footfalls also. Then you look at certain other areas. In healthcare right now, India is already the country which is ranked number 5 in healthcare tourism as far as footfalls are concerned. In the last few years, again, we are putting a lot of effort in increasing healthcare capacity. The number of medical colleges in the last 9.5 years have increased from 7 to 23. The number of AIIMS, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, the medical colleges have increased from 330 to 680. Overall, you are seeing a lot of increase in healthcare capacity. And this again will increase the number of footfalls drastically in the country from across the world also. Right now, when you look at international tourists, tourism is increasing very rapidly in India, but when you look at the international tourists, at this moment, India contributes 1.2% of the overall international tourists. You have the United States, which have around 5%, China with around 5%. You have even UK with 2.7%. And something that I find fascinating is when you look at the UNESCO's list of the number of World Heritage sites, India has 40, which is much more than what the US and UK and many of the European countries have. But we are not getting that footfall. So that again is an area where we have a lot of potential. Because now with our increased connectivity, with the increase in capacity, especially in areas like hospitality, once again, this is an area where we will definitely be seeing a large increase in footfalls with time. For example, just in the last few years, the number of airports have almost doubled from 74 in 2014 to 150 now. And by the end of this decade, we are expected to have almost 450 airports. So with with connectivity increasing like this, it will become much more easier for domestic as well as international tourists to travel across India. And all this will drastically improve the sector. And then India is also the home to some of the most revered temples and areas of worship. Now we are seeing a reclamation, we are seeing a lot of restoration that is happening across India. And just in the last few years, suddenly, Varanasi and Ayodhya has become number 1 and 2 in the number of footfalls in cities in India. So these are all trends, these are all positive trends which is dramatically pushing an industry which, even though at this moment is contributing around less than 5% of India's GDP, in the next 1 decade will almost be becoming many, many times more and will be contributing a significant proportion of our workforce. And this is going to be one of those industries where our growth is very critical for us to reach our stated mission of being a developed country in the next 25 years by 2047. So the growth in this sector is going to be very critical. So I once again congratulate the organizers for organizing this event and also giving an emphasis to this very critical sector, along with many other aspects of culture and economy. So there are many different panels, and this is the panel which I am speaking on. So that is why I gave a lot of emphasis on tourism. Almost every other aspect of culture and economy you are covering is very important. But I thank you for the time that was given to me and also for the emphasis in this critical sector, whose growth will be very important for us to meet our stated objective of being a Vikasit Bharat by 2047. I thank all of you for being here, and again I thank you for inviting me for this gathering. Thank you. Jai Hind.